But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Click OK, Neil, Len, Wandek, and a whole bunch of people in the Flipside Discord server. So welcome one and all.
How are you?
Hey.
I'm all right. It's been a
Good afternoon.
bit of a pain in the ass for the last week. I've had no internet, so we've waited and waited and waited for a new box to arrive, which came yesterday, just not quite in time for a live show. And other than lots and lots of bookwork, it's been an internet-free week, generally speaking. That's driving the kids nuts, but we've coped quite well, got quite a lot of work done. Other than that, how's everybody? You all good?
Why didn't you try tapping into the Ethernet, Nathan?
Everything is roses.
Ethernet's a real thing. Ethernet's just internal internet. Like you on your box, you've got it labelled as Ethernet, which just means the cable that connects the internal computers in the internal ring in whatever building you're in. Well, that's Ethernet. Like your Ethernet cable. I know you're doing it as a play on the ether, as in the luminiferous ether, which is something else.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Ethernet cable, also known as RJ45.
Or Cat5 cables.
Not all Cat5 are equal. Indeedy. I bet Craig in Click OK is currently turning around going, what the bloody hell are these idiots babbling about? As our resident computer expert. But no, things are good. I've got 10 listings left on eBay. So at my peak microphone sales, I was at 100 listings, keeping the bills paid. And then it's whittled right the way down because I just don't have enough hours in the day to dedicate to running to the post office and buying new microphones. So I knocked that on the head in January. And obviously it's now a lot later than January. So I've run out of stuff that's keeping the bills paid. So partially one of the reasons why the box that we had got cut off was because the bill that I had coming out as a direct debit bounced. So I reached zero, which hasn't happened for a while. And you're like, oh, crap. So I had to get in touch with them and like asking them to cut me off so I could get my wife take over the account. That resulted in them actually cutting me off a lot earlier than was necessary without the new equipment arriving, which left me without any internet, which meant I couldn't broadcast. So from that perspective, it's been a bit of a nightmare, but not an unanticipated nightmare. That is to say, I knew that there'd be a certain loss from not flogging microphones and from not doing as much YouTube work whilst finishing off the book. So from that perspective, it's not unexpected. It's just always a little bit crap when you run out of money, like with everybody. And I'm sure there's plenty of people on the panel who are poor at the moment that doesn't mean they're unsympathetic to my plight, but by the same token, there's people around me, generally speaking, that are also struggling. People are poor at the moment, generally speaking. Probably worldwide, I'm in no doubt. So I won't moan. Everything's sorted out now. got internet, which is the main thing. It came yesterday, just a little bit late to be doing a live show. I've handpicked a few shows, though, from my phone or from the internet that I've had limited, though it may be on my mobile phone. I've been able to get up to it via the, whatever it is, Wi-Fi hotspot, I think they call it, and schedule shows that have been out previously as members-only shows. So there has been a slot-filling show every single day up until today. So even if you tuned in and you were expecting a live show, there's a fair chance that you'd tune in and go, is this actually live? Well, no. But I've still kept the slot filled with shows, which I'm sure you're appreciative of.
You need to make a few more people moderators because it's getting very taxing. The amount of trolls that come in just spew their nonsense.
I shall look into that, Neil. Plenty of trolls, you say. This is presumably on my second channel. Although no, the ones that I've been scheduling have been coming out on this, the main channel, right? In the 2 o'clock slot that I normally filling now. One of the things I included in the book's Luminiferous Ether section was the poem that I wrote. So that actually made it into the book. You guys remember one of the only poems I've written?
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have no chance of reciting that. It is a bit of a mouthful, isn't it, that poem? Can you read it off the top of your head?
I haven't got it memorised. No, I could read it if I could dig it out. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's good. I like that.
Yeah, when we're getting to the part of it in the book and my wife's reading it, she's like, "Can you come and read this bit out?" I'll find it. Oh, here it is. It's actually called Without Protestation. Without protestation or procrastination, and at no risk of demonstration, the ether sensation is the manifestation of the vibration when viewing libration, and a perturbation in the variation of a background radiation when we view illumination. There is no postulation in my verbal masturbation, because perception of the visualization of light emanation in a rotation toroidation of magnetization through vacuum evacuation show their maximalization propagation with a motion demonstration phase quantation via quantum induction validation, where we view the Michelson-Morley experimentation showing consistent variation in the direction when illumination went on vacation at elevation in atmospheric stratification by interpretation, and that's a miniaturization of the ether explanation. If you lack in comprehension, it's because of your education. Did I mention the free power generation? Long live the ether. This is a declaration and not a theory or a hypothesization. Subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980.
Brilliant. Did you pinch a lot of that off Witsit? Like some of his wording? Or did you just... Because he was coming out with some nonsense as usual, wasn't he? About the ether and coming out with all these fancy words. Did you pinch a little bit of that?
Well, yes and no. He's using common vernacular for ether claims. So, no, I'd never watched Witsit. I wasn't a subscriber and I didn't interact with him in any way. He would occasionally come on this show and interact with me, and I would react occasionally when people would put videos where he was in discussions with others and we had an objection to some of his etherite claims. But ultimately speaking, I just use common ether vernacular. That is to say, there's a reason why Witsit's using that language when talking about ether, because it's common Etherian language. But I'm sure you heard every single one of the Ethereum buzzwords in that, right?
Yeah. It'd be good to put that in, make that into a little bit of a song. Maybe try that.
It would be a rap, I would imagine.
Yeah, it'd have to be a rap, wouldn't it?
That's just poetry, isn't it? It's, I don't know. I was quite proud of that when I produced it in the first instance. Other than my teenage dirtbag copy, I don't think I've ever written anything else. That's about it. that's yeah.
Who was that by?
Say again, Neil.
Who was that teenage dirtbag by?
He's checking you out here now.
Wheatus.
Ah, okay, good man.
Yeah, Yeah, I said it was by Weezer, and I was incorrect. Neil corrected me. He's like, it's not by Weezer. It's by Wheatus. I couldn't find it. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Gotta get your music right.
It is important. You want to give credit where credit's due.
So have you got your chapters in a nice order, Nathan, for the book?
Yeah, did I give the analogy about the Guinness in the pre-show?
Yeah, but
yeah.
it could use a live show one. I like that.
Okay, so I was explaining the book's finished, right? So in terms of the deadline that my wife and I had set ourselves to produce the book, it was Easter, and it was indeed produced, finished, done by Easter. But it's not going to be sold yet. We're going to go through it at least once, read through it, make sure that there's no further edits that need doing. So at the moment, the last time we read it through, we were making subtle changes and adding pictures. So now that's all been done, I want to go through the book at least once and read through, make sure it's all correct without making any changes before it goes off to the publisher. And indeed, there's other little bits and bobs that need doing, namely the cover needs to be made because it's just in a rough mock-up of a cover, and it needs to be typeset in terms of the actual size of the pages, which might be A5, it might be legal for the Americans. I don't know what size the text will end up being, so we need to find that out from the publisher. But other than that, the book's done. And the analogy I gave in the pre-show was, if you're a Guinness drinker, you'll know that when you go and buy a Guinness and somebody does it properly, they'll pull 2/3 or a little bit more of it and set it on the side of the bar to settle. Now, that is to say that in order for it to be on the side of the bar settling, you've got to have had the ale produced in the first instance, put in a barrel, distributed to the bar, pumped through the pipes into the glass, and then have it sat on the side of the bar. It's just not quite ready to drink yet, even though it's right there in front of you. You can see it. You could potentially put your lips around it, but the barman's not allowing you to. He's just like, no, just give it another minute. It needs to settle, and then I'll top it off. That's how the book's looking. It's done. It's finished. I just don't want it to go out with any minor spelling errors. And indeed, there's a couple of little bits and bobs that need to be topped off on top of the finished material before it goes out for official publication. And once it is, I'll be out on the road touring it and publicising it. And indeed, we'll then make moves to get a soft copy, or whatever you call it, paperback copy, or even a hard copy, like a hardback copy, done through a different means that it'll initially be published through, which is to say you'll be able to get a digital copy when it's first published. Now, initially, whatever it was, 4 years or 3 years ago when the publisher was talking about this, is like, get it to a decent enough standard, and then if there are minor corrections, we can just make a change on the fly. It's not that big a deal with the digital copy. Well, in my mind, now it's taken as long as it has, I'd rather go through it with a fine-tooth comb and still have that be the case, because I'm sure there will be a comma in the wrong place even after publication, which, as he says, can be corrected. But I do want to go through it at least once to make sure it's 100% without having to make any alterations while we're doing that. Now, given that we've been working on it non-stop for about the last 6 months, I think my wife could do with a couple of days at least break from it, which we'll do, and then we'll get back into it and basically do quality assurance, or QA. So the quality assurance process is all that needs to be done, along with a little bit of refinement in terms of the cover, typesetting, and then it's ready for publication. I can't imagine that'll take more than a week or maybe a couple of weeks at the absolute outside, but it's basically ready, and within maybe a week or two it'll be out and you can actually buy a copy. So that's Measured Flat, All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth by Nathan Oakley. Done, just not ready for purchasing just yet, but it will be very, very, very soon. I know lots of people have been asking, when's the book? Very, very soon, like within a couple of weeks at the most, maybe sooner.
Well, that's good news. Do you have like anywhere lined up where you're going to promote it first? Have you thought about that?
I've got all the names that we'll be going out to approach to promote it. I mean, obviously you've got to get it done, finished first for it to be a polished product ready to be sold. Once it's available for sale, then you can go out and promote it. So no, I haven't approached anybody yet. That would be stupid because it's not officially available.
No, not approach. I'm in your mind. Have you got someone lined up where this is the first platform where I want to be on? Or you're just going to, like, whoever gets me, whoever says yes, that's where I'm going?
No, the first platform that we'll hear about it will be here. This will be the first platform, my own. So I'll be the first person to talk about it. And as soon as it's available, there'll be a link below the video. And I'll be like, if you want to get a copy of it right now, the link is available below this video. Now, there's a chance that, unbeknownst to anybody who is a show watcher, there's a publicist who's already got a website that's selling plenty of Flat Earth books. They might see it before my audience sees it below my video when I publicise that fact. But from there, you're saying, is there a specific individual that will be the first person to have the exclusive, if you will, of the promotion of this book before any wider audiences hear about it? No, not yet. I'll probably just pick the first person on the list of names and go to them. And then even then, that particular individual won't necessarily say yes. It's when you work your way down through the list and say, would you like to have Nathan Oakley on your show to talk about his new book? Once you get to the person that says, yes, I'd love to have Nathan Oakley talking about his book, can you send me a copy? That'll be the first person. You know what I mean?
I was just thinking, I mean, it's flat earth debate. I was just thinking outside the box. Maybe Mark Sargent should get the nod because he reaches a lot of people. Just a suggestion.
I mean, Mark's certainly on the list of people that I'll be contacting. So if Mark happens to get back to me before anybody else, then yeah, there's a good chance that Mark will be the first. If he's the first to say, yeah, of course, come on tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I'll come on tomorrow then.
Well, you know that's the way he is, so that probably would be the best bet in my opinion. But it's your show, baby.
Yeah, I'm sure I will be in front of Mark at some stage, regardless if he's the first or not. So, but yeah, he's certainly on the list of people that will need contacting and need to be sent a copy, potentially become an affiliate, so he can have his own link underneath the video. But we'll see. I don't know who's going to be first, Neil.
Well, if you haven't noticed, this is all in rain anyway because there's a ship out there called the Artemis 2, and they've showed excellent pictures of Earth from space.
Yeah, I haven't had a great deal of interest in Artemis, and when it's come up on my doom scrolling with Whirly Whirl, was it's connected to my phone, what I noticed was there's some elevation measurements from surface level. From memory, it was given in miles. You're like, okay, so perpendicular to a plane of reference altitude being given out then. And you'll need a flat Earth for that trajectory information for it to fly, if it's claimed to be flying through our quote-unquote atmosphere, oxymoronic sphere-shaped air, without containment. To traverse said pressurized gas and enter a second law of thermodynamics violating sky vacuum that they say it's going to have to traverse to go to the moon. This is old news.
So you're telling me these pictures that they're showing the world of this globe Earth is a lie?
Yeah, they're not pictures from a sky vacuum. It's like saying, are these pictures of the lion in Narnia real? Like, no. I mean, it might be a picture of a lion, but are they from an area beyond the wardrobe? No.
Yeah, but it's like you say, Nathan. There, you've just summed it up. There, you pointed out that they've got a distance above sea level, yeah, altitude. So straight away, they're giving you the flat Earth prerequisites. There's no argument anymore. You don't have to go about the moon landing and space. Everything that is said regarding this subject, you're going to hear horizontal, altitude, sea level. You can end it right there. There is no argument now. The argument's finished.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to peddle this stuff. It's a religious movement now, as far as I'm concerned. So, you need to keep the congregation happy, and that's all this is. I mean, there's a certain level of anti-flat earthers that are never satisfied and need to come and tell you how this is satisfactory to them. You're like, that's self-defeating. If you were happy with this, you'd be getting on with your life. You wouldn't be concerned about telling me how this proves your sky vacuum's real. It doesn't. Now, the pictures that are coming back are akin to what I see on my screen now, right? This is a composite that I produced. And the pictures I've seen have got this layer, right? This like haze. I think it might be green. I'm colorblind, but there's like a 2 millimeter above the surface in the images that I see, green layer, and you're like, what's that? Is that the Kármán line? Is that where the gases burn their bras in defiance of natural law and go back down, go boom boom, go splash splash? Is that where it is, at that green line that they've got in their images? You're like, my God, this looks atrocious. It looks crap. But then you get people who are like making videos about the stuff that's ancillary to it. Like I saw one short video where the guy's talking about how they're using a Nikon camera from 10 years ago. Well, that's interesting. You're not wondering at the marvel of the pictures themselves. You're just concerned about how old the camera is that's taken these absolutely garbage pictures that don't look real. Now, do I need to get into the nitty-gritty of how composite images are? No, they're taking the pictures from Narnia. Who cares?
Well, they also got videos of the astronauts using a zip line to escape the shuttle while we're watching the fireworks show go on and a big explosion and a rocket taking off. They're actually zip lined out of there and scattered away on Earth.
Maybe. I mean, who knows how they pull this off in terms of the fakery. I've seen all sorts of explanations suggesting that they launch them out and dump them in the ocean in the Bermuda Triangle. And I've seen further reports of people in that area showing NASA wreckages that you just wouldn't expect to be there. And they're just showing it floating around like Flopsam and Jetsam. They're like, look at all this NASA debris. I'm like, yeah.
So the funny thing is, me and my wife were watching it. She's like, but I don't understand why it's not going straight up. Why is it curving back down to the Earth? Is it following the curvature of the Earth? Is that what they're saying? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's got to reach escape velocity. Something, isn't that the way they describe it? It's got to reach escape velocity. So, it can't reach it going straight up. It's got a curve going back down because it looked like it was launching back down to the Earth. Looks like this big arc.
Yes. So they need an escape velocity in Narnia, do they? I mean, it's just a glorified rocket show like with fireworks, isn't it? That's all it is. It's a fireworks display for kids and grown-up kids, like your average adult 12-year-old.
I don't know. My fireworks go straight up in the air and explode. No, my fireworks do not curve back down.
Your fireworks don't have rocket boosters on the end of them that can last a lot longer. Yeah, like I say, say again. Go ahead, one day.
I try not to get dragged into all that moon and rocket nonsense. But you do find yourself just having a little look and seeing what people are saying about it. But like I was saying, not just globe, but the so-called flat earthers want to keep the argument of the nonsense going as well. Arguing about gravity and refraction and other topics that we've dealt with now. And like I say, there is no argument, but flat earthers, so-called flat earthers, want to continue to have the argument when we've resolved it here on FED with measurements. It's been dealt with. You know what I mean?
It seems like they want it, right? One deck, like it seems like from what I could see, just taking a quick look around at what's going on in this server and that server, they want to talk about these things and argue them. Like you said, refraction, that's the big one now. People are arguing about refraction. People are arguing about gravity. People are arguing about everything. But nobody's talking about how Earth is measured.
In a detail refraction, you're going to describe it from a plane of reference. The deviation in what is described to be real, not terrestrial, refraction, requires you detail it from a plane. It's like all roads lead to a flat Earth. Refraction's no different. If you're applying it to an actual measurement of Earth and its surface, it is flat. There aren't any exceptions to these roads that lead back to flat Earth measurements. When people are arguing about refraction, you're like, is the refraction that you're arguing about the refraction that's deriving an R value for a surface that's been consequential in its flatness to achieve the R value for you to apply 7/6 to it? Like, well, you needed to acquire your R value from a flat plane with elevation angle measurements, or a depression angle in the case of Al-Biruni. Okay, well, you need a flat Earth to derive your R value. Oh, you're not talking about terrestrial refraction. You're talking about the real calculable refraction. Well, what's it traversing? A medium that you can deviate from in terms of a curved path, a change in direction that you're going to infer from a plane of reference. So you need a plane of reference then Doesn't matter which way you dice it. You either need a plane of reference to derive an R value, or you need a plane of reference to describe the deviation in the vertical for the diffraction of the light you're asserting, to then refer back also in the second instance to the R value that it's claimed to be applicable to if you're describing it with actual refraction. So it doesn't matter which path you choose, you're always going to find your way back to a flat Earth prerequisite.
Yeah, you can't get away from that flat plane of reference.
You spoil everything, Nathan. I mean, come on, just keep the argument going a little bit longer, will you? Please.
To keep the argument going, you've got to ignore how flat Earth must be measured to come up with the concepts. Like, you want to apply refraction to a curved surface, then you're first going to have to create the curved surface. Well, how are you going to create it? Well, with a system of observations, measurements from a planar surface called elevation angles. If you're going to do that, then you need Earth to be flat for us to have this argument about how much mathematical 7/6R radial value refraction is applicable to a ball Earth that's been created with those same measurements. So, well, if we're going to create the ball with the flat Earth measurements, I'll just take the flat Earth measurements and I don't have to do anything. But what you want to take the flat Earth measurements, ignore them, and then ask how the derived radial value from the flat Earth measurements works when light changes direction with respect to a plane of reference. I just hear lots of flat Earth prerequisites. That's all I hear. It's like Neo seeing the Matrix code. You can't suddenly stop seeing it. Once you see it, that's it.
Yeah, I'm like that now. You're just listening to people, not just everyday conversations as well, just about, anything you might want to talk about. But in this arena, you can't help but notice when somebody's talking, all the flat Earth prerequisites that come out of the mouth, just one after the other. And like you say, it's just like bullets hitting you, flat Earth bullets.
They have to, though. They can't get away from it. How else are you going to do it? You can't. For years, we skipped right by it.
Well, we was given a level plane anyway. The Earth is a level plane, mainly sea level. Sorry, I mean mean sea level, 0 degree baseline for all measurements to go forth. We had no choice. It was level for us in the first instance to then go and measure it flat secondary. It's, you know what I mean? That's what we've had to deal with. Level, sea level, flat Earth. All roads lead to it, apparently.
Yeah, the biggest one is always going to be height and distance. That is to say, in a two-dimensional graphed sense, altitude along one axis and distance along another, in the case of refraction, to describe a deviation with respect to the baseline. Like, all of this is just another flat Earth prerequisite that you're going to need to adhere to and then simultaneously dismiss so you can violate it. So you can say what the Cartesian system that's been referenced to create these descriptions of these measurements deviating from the reference, from the baseline, actually has a curved baseline. No, you can't describe a deviation from horizontal if you're going to bend horizontal. And in the first instance, that's precisely what you are inferring when you describe refraction. You're automatically requiring a horizontal plane of reference if you're going to describe a deviation from it. Now, I don't care if you don't want to utilize your own flat Earth prerequisite horizontal baseline because you don't like that you need it. I don't care. I'm not the one making any claims about refraction, or do I care about it? But you will require a horizontal plane of reference for you if you need to assert that there's this thing called refraction that's somehow consequential to the violated baseline. You can't violate the baseline. You don't have to like it.
No, you can't. Same thing with flight, because you got height and distance with flight.
That's it. I'm surmising and imagining, Nathan, that within the book, I think it'll be a great read, because I can imagine that you'll be talking about some of the outdated housekeeping questions and what we used to argue about them topics, and explaining them topics, but then concluding and bringing out that all this will require a flat Earth measurement, or it's either useless and it's got nothing to do with measurements of Earth, or you will require a flat Earth in the absolute beginning to be even discussing the topic. And I'm really looking forward. I should imagine that that's what you've done, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
and there's only one important housekeeping question now anyway, right?
any evidence that Earth is measured anything other than flat?
Negative, because it's measured flat, because it is flat. It's just that simple, folks.
Yeah. Eratosthenes measured an angle. Al-Biruni measured elevation angle, depression angle. And I don't think there's any other so-called globe-proof measurements, is there?
Well, what I'm saying is it's just that simple. I mean, do I have to add any caveats to how it's measured flat? We went over it with height and distance, with flight and with refraction. I don't need to add anything. I can confidently say how Earth is measured because it's measured flat. Nothing else needed.
You can also just start with sea level, like I just explained it, and that's your starting point for all measurements going forward. And it's level to start with. That's what we was given. That the Creator gave us a level plane of reference to start our measurements from. How can
It's funny. It's funny because when you look at the Genesis account, I'll bring up the Bible because this is what I know as the Creator. It talks about how the earth is coming up out of the water. So up at a sea level comes dry ground.
Yeah, like in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Is it Hawaii? Those volcanic islands that seem to just spew ground up from the sea level and then it's suddenly really fertile like a few years later.
Yeah, but it's coming up out of the ocean and it becomes dry ground, and that's called Earth.
Natat talks Femu, who says, do not violate elevation profiles. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Yeah, if the Earth was just covered with, if we just had sea level, then the whole place would just be level with no, nothing, no elevation profiles above and no depth below. It'll just be a level plane. That's what we've got.
Well, it has to be what it is because we needed to build on it, right? So you have this sea level, right? Mean sea level. Now the Earth comes up out of the water, and now human beings can construct on it. We can build houses and towns and cities, museums, libraries, where they'll have a book called Measured Flat, All Roads Lead to Flat Earth.
Available soon. Yeah, the last chapter is Measured Flat, and it's about the ignorance of flat Earth measurements in the pursuit of Earth curves failures being highlighted. So my last chapter, Measured Flat, is about Robin Poe, which might not make any sense, but Robin Poe was the first person I interviewed. So it's describing how my very first hangout had one live stream viewer, and it was Robin Poe. Now, I've changed her name in the book, as is the case with everybody who gets a mention. They all have their names changed. But in this case, because it's specific to an individual who I don't mind talking about on a live show, Robin Poe is talking about her connection that she's making for her transmitter in Ferrari, Italy, and how the elevation of the mountain between her and the previous relay is precluding her from getting a decent signal. So she turns the transceiver or receiver back to the point source over 110 miles away and gets a perfect signal. Now, in her rendition of this story to me for a live audience on Flat Earth UK, she's explaining how there's a lack of Earth curve blocking the view. Now, in summary of the end of the book, I'm explaining how now we would point out how the elevation of the mountain to describe its obstruction of her view is measured from sea level. It's topographical changes, elevation profiles. That's altitude and its flat Earth prerequisite description from sea level, and how Earth is measured to achieve that part of the story for how high you are up a mountain. The distance between the point source and her, at over 110 miles, is a horizontal linear distance measurement in miles or kilometres if it's phrased differently. The distance between the relays at 25 miles is a horizontal distance measurement, all of which requires you must first accept how flat Earth must be measured just to tell the story. But back then, we ignored the flat Earth prerequisites, accepted them as true, to describe how curvy the surface wasn't when a presumed to be blocking your view curve of the Earth wasn't. Now that has been paraphrased into the we see too far aspect of the so-called debate over the last 10 years. Now we don't see too far, we've just got eyeballs, and if we're going to describe how far we do see, we're going to need flat Earth measurements of distance to do it. And if you're going to imply that there's a limitation to your angular resolution, also a flat Earth prerequisite, then you'll describe it from an altitude that's measured from sea level. Well, there's 3 flat Earth measurements that you're not going to get past in these modern times of a so-called debate. There isn't one. Every description of everything ever to infer that we see too far, that there's a limitation to the view that isn't there in terms of Earth curve, that if you've got a zoom camera you can bring things back, all has a requirement of Earth be measuring flat before you can make any of these assertions or so-called arguments. These days, why do we need the story about the Earth curve not being in the way of the relay? Just the 110 miles itself is a flat Earth prerequisite. It's a measurement of Earth's surface at a distance that you can ascribe to a location that is, quote, 110 miles away on a flat Earth, as per the scales on the maps. This basic principle of Earth measurement is something that we have ignored so we could pretend to argue about how Earth curve does or doesn't get in our way, we're seeing too far. Seems sad. Every measured distance is flat. Every measured altitude is flat. Why would we need anything else? So we're going to measure it flat then? Yeah. So will anybody who ever measures Earth.
Yeah, I was listening to something the other day, and that's what they were saying. They were like, you shouldn't be seeing that over there. And I'm like, what? Why shouldn't they be seeing what they're seeing? We were duped into believing that there was some sort of argument to be had when there was none all along. It's always measured flat.
Put that into a cartoon.
You could even say it like, the black swan argument back then. All you need, you've got a distance to that oil rig. Yeah, it's horizontal distance in miles, and It'll have a height of the rig will be above sea level. That's all you need to know.
Correct. So much more basic. Yes.
You mean the legendary black swan?
Yeah, you think now we've moved on and now we're more advanced. How many times have we argued that case where all we needed to say was there was a horizontal distance to the rig and there is a height to that rig above sea level? Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's the end of the discussion, isn't it? The minute you've acquired the measurements, you either accept them, in which case Earth's measured flat, or you don't. Well, we're not going to have an argument then. What are we going to argue about? Oh, we are going to argue about these flat Earth measurements. It's measured flat then. No need to argue. Oh, you want to accept the flat Earth measurements and then put them through the calculator and ignore how flat Earth must be measured for us to put them into a calculator to establish how, if we're at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height of a flat Earth in feet. Let's ignore that too. But no.
Well, even back then, you got steered into, then you get wrapped up in refract. We've already spoke about it. You go into refraction arguments. Yeah, you start arguing about the distance to something called the horizon, which has never, ever, ever been defined as a physical location. So you find yourself talking about all this, and you've just skipped past, like you've said, Nathan, the distance to the rig, horizontal distance, and its altitude above sea level. 2 points, end of story. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So for Robin Poe, it's her altitude with respect to sea level, the obstruction of the altitude that's blocking her view, the distance to a point source, 110 miles away. Like, before you've told me about how shock and a horror there wasn't any Earth curve, you've already told me how flat Earth's been measured 6 ways from Sunday, before we even got to the crux of the story. And the crux of the story requires that I don't point out how flat Earth must be measured So we can ignore that part of the story. It's consequential to the story because you're telling me 110 miles and no Earth curve. Like 110 miles and that's a flat Earth measurement. No big deal then. It's just measured flat.
So are you telling me that the black swan argument is redundant?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
So not really.
Yeah.
So are all of the arguments. So in my summation of the book that I've just written, finished literally yesterday, there's a summary about how all of it is inconsequential as a consequence of what you now describe as the most important housekeeping question. So we started this discussion with Neil saying, what's the most important housekeeping question? Is there any evidence that Earth is measured anything other than flat? Well, that undermines every housekeeping question. Why do we need to keep house? It's just measured flat. It's not that serious anymore, is it? Don't need to respond to people who want to keep the arguments alive. Every one of the housekeeping question involves us whistling past the flat Earth prerequisites that are utilised to ask the question in the first place. What about where the distance to the geometric horizon is at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height of a flat Earth? So they've got to measure a height of a flat Earth then? Yeah, like all altitudes.
So the horizon would be on a flat plane as well, since you're talking about a linear distance to it.
Yeah, their linear distance measurement to horizon. This is where Anthony Riley couldn't quite comprehend his own ineptitude when it came to arguing about a physical location for them at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. For them, it's the physical ground. For us, the optical resolution point that isn't resolvable at what we call the horizon is still formed with the ground. Just means you can't ascribe a postcode to that particular location that's actually a loss of resolution. But it's still forming its loss of resolution that's useful for acquiring horizontal planes of reference with the ground. It's the ground. It's the point where the ground appears to meet the sky. Well, optical resolution limit or not, you're still forming that with the ground. Very much part of the definition. But for them, it is a physical location. It's described at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height off a flat Earth. End of argument.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it makes all of the arguments redundant. There was no argument. Everybody had to whistle past how flat Earth was being measured to have a perception of there being an argument. Once you understand and acknowledge the flat Earth prerequisites that everybody must adhere to, you've only got two choices. Relinquish the measurements that the so-called argument's based on, or accept that it's flat. And for me, I'm like, well, my acceptance of it isn't even required. It doesn't matter if I verbalise this fact to you, the audience. It'll still be measured flat, even if I don't say a thing. So who cares? It's not that serious anymore, is it?
Oh, yes, it is, because if you would have been paying attention, certain panel members are telling you from 2019 that it's measured flat. You just weren't listening, Nathan.
Yes, it's all about
You
how...
needed your special boy to tell you.
Exactly. When a special boy said it, then it made sense. But, you know, these things were
John,
being
refracted
said in
curvature.
2019.
You get acknowledgement for it in the book, by the way, John.
No. Are you
Well, he should.
No.
You're modest, but you are, because you have, and you are being acknowledged because you were the originator of this particular revelation. The fact that it took a significant period of time for us to actually pick up what you were putting down is a testament to our ignorance in inability to comprehend what you were laying down for a fairly significant chunk of time, I would say, John. While you were laying it out, right, you'd already gone into debate having conceded every globe point that could potentially be argued. Because you already knew all roads lead to a flat Earth. It was an utterly inconsequential concession to Mucktoon. Because who cares? Yeah, I'll give you all your globe points that require flat Earth be measured. You knew it long before all of us.
That's not fair. I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Who was that guy who wrote that poem now? What was he called?
Here we
Oh,
go.
yeah, that guy won that.
The original point where this got marked in history was with bunk and debunk. Who remembers bunk and debunk?
Who could forget bunk and debunk?
Bunk and debunk was John's way of explaining how you take flat Earth measurements and turn them into a sphere. Now, if I'm honest, John, that was too complex. Yeah? Now, it's not your fault that you were taking the complex nature of sphere creation and extrapolating out the flat Earth prerequisites from it to make a point with a couple of puppets. You just had a firm grip on the reality of how flat Earth must be measured to create a sphere before we had fully comprehended that there's a prerequisite flat Earth measurement. So it was just a bit too much, a bit too soon. But now, on reflection, you're like, well, you get credit for it. You don't get it in your name. You've got a completely fake name ascribed to you.
Thank you.
Thing is, though, like this, the pardon the pun, the level that we're at now, you know, what we've just been talking about for the last hour or whatever it is, 45 minutes. Once you get to this level, you're in a different mode. Yeah, a lot of people, like I've just said, a lot of flat earthers still want to argue. They want to argue about the heliocentric nonsense so they can have a fight with somebody and overlord over that person. You don't need to do that. What you need to do now is work on yourself and get to this level. It's so calming and relaxing, and we're going to take you there because we are the pick of the crop now. And Nathan's book will be too.
I like the way you did that one, Dick.
Just like a prayer, we'll take you there.
But he was saying that how you can relax and you don't have to lord it over anybody, but we'll take you there.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, jump on board. Come on.
Well, one thing is said that, this is the greatest globe debunking, and that's cool. You want to continue to debunk the globe? Have fun. Over here,
My attitude's completely
please
changed.
demonstrate how it's measured flat. Sorry, Nathan.
Well,
go
I was
ahead.
just going to say my attitude towards debunking the globe has completely reversed in the last 6 months. Like, you can have it. Have it. Just back to
The
crediting
thing is,
John.
Nathan,
Good.
sorry, if you debunk the globe, you're going to be debunking flat Earth, mate.
Exactly. So give him it. Right, well, you need, okay, you want to believe you're on a globe. More power to you. Let's have a little look, if you like. Let's have a look where we got the sphericity from. Where's the measurements? Are there in these flat Earth elevation angle derivations, or this dip angle derivation from a flat surface level with a parallel eye level? So we're going to need to measure Earth flat then, so we can bastardize and violate the base that we've measured flat to achieve these numbers. Okay, I mean, two choices. Relinquish these flat Earth measurements, in which case we're not going to be moving forward with anything, or accept that we're measuring it flat. For you to believe that you can violate the base measurement that you've just relied upon to have a belief in a ball. Well, you can have your belief in a ball. I mean, it comes with a flat Earth prerequisite elevation measurement from surface level. It comes with a absolute requirement for eye level to be parallel with surface level. It comes with altitude measurements measured from sea level. It comes with a flat Earth whether you like it or not. So have your ball. But I was just about to credit this to John. That's what John did when he went, I'll give you all of it. You can have a concession for every globe claim you can make, and I will give it you immediately. Because from this point forth, I'm talking to you directly, John, it is inconsequential if you allow them to, quote unquote, have it. Right? What difference does it make if they have their globe? It still needs flat Earth measurements, so who cares? You can have it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Fantastic. Yep.
It's a weird reality that we live in. But yeah, you gotta, if you want to believe you're on a ball, you got to know it's flat.
Yeah, I tried to scrape the surface of this by saying we were advanced heliocentrists, but in reality I was just saying I'm a glorified fart sniffer who values the information in the same way the dweebs value their information. If you can understand and dissect the Haversine formula, then you've invested cognitively in that which most normies won't. Therefore, you can lord it over them because you've got a level of comprehension that they lack. Therefore, you're superior to them. Well, in reality, you go one step beyond and you realise that it all relied upon flat Earth measurements to begin with. That attempt to ascertain higher degrees of greatness leaves you walking out the top floor naked. What do I mean by that? There's a Fraser Crane scene, right? And by metaphor, I'm describing how Fraser Crane is striving for greatness with Niles in a spa. So he goes into the spa and he's got his silver card that they issue to you, and he's getting his nails done. And he sees someone walk through a golden door, and he's like, where are they going? And the assistants explain that that's the premier part of the spa where only gold card members can go. And he's outraged. There's a level above what he's already attained. Well, he wants to be in that club. So he quickly figures out how to get a gold card so he can go through that door. And it's slightly nicer drinks, and the assistants are slightly prettier, and the towels are pre-warmed, and there's certain things that are nicer than the silver aspect. And while he's having his toes done, he notices there's a platinum-coloured door that someone else walks through, and he asks, well, where's that door lead to? Oh, that's for our very exclusive platinum-only members. He said, well, I want to be a platinum member. So he's trying to ascertain that perceived level of greatness as he acquires his platinum card. And him and Niles go up to the top floor, and they're basking in the luxury of champagne being handed them by floozies. And they see another door that looks diamond-coloured. It's all sparkly. And they're like, we want to go through that door. And they go through in their towels and realise that they're on the roof with nothing there. It's just the empty space. And they've gone through a door that let them know that they're just two men in towels, semi-naked, standing on the top of a building with no one attending to them. Well, that's us, by metaphor. Like, try and achieve this greatness in terms of a heliocentric discernment, where you can understand how the distance to the geometric horizon is 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Like, you can lord that over somebody in terms of your prowess when it comes to heliocentric endeavours to acquire a distance to a geometric physical sphere edge horizon. All sounds like silk. Beautiful words of intelligence that people can know how smart you are. Only for you to walk through the top layer and go, hang on a second, everything that I described with my intellectual superiority, my fart-sniffing nature, has led me to the point where I realise that actually I'm inconsequential to it. Everybody who ever measured Earth ever is going to require the prerequisites of altitude and distance and sea level and parallel eye level. And whether or not I talk about the distance to a geometric physical sphere edge horizon at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height off flat Earth will always require a measured height off flat Earth then. Even if I didn't ever disseminate the facts in the globe's favour for a distance to a geometric imaginary horizon in mathematics that required we measure Earth flat. You realise the inconsequential nature of your own existence when you know Earth will still be measured flat without me. It doesn't need me here. I don't need to tell you about how flat it is. It's flat anyway. That offends the fart sniffers, the people in the platinum group that think they can escalate themselves that little bit higher above everybody around them. Like, you step one step further and you're out on the roof, a semi-naked man in a towel, and it's embarrassing. But you need a bit of introspection to reach that point on the roof where you go, what was I chasing? Oh, my ability to lord it over next man.
Well said.
Yeah, well said.
But still, there'll be people out there that will appreciate some of the informational chapters in the book when it comes out, that will want to know about how heliocentrism breaks down. But they'll have to get used to me peppering it with the prerequisites of flat Earth requirements throughout, because it's non-stop. As I'm going through some of the housekeeping questions and how they evolved, and ultimately in the last chapter pointing out how they're redundant now, you're getting me pointing out all of the flat Earth prerequisites that are needed to make the argument. So it's absolutely unequivocally clear by the time you finish reading that all roads lead to a flat Earth. You can't escape it.
Well, the only reason they become redundant is because of the final question. I mean, that just knocks everything out of the way. It's like, what have we been doing? Like, for years, we were arguing and looking for curves. Then we come to an understanding that, holy shoot, everything's going to require a flat plane of reference. Earth is flat. Therefore, is there any evidence you could measure Earth anything other than flat? Is the only question that's relevant. And there's only one answer, and that is no.
Yeah. So I will keep you all posted. Hopefully within a week or two, we'll have a published book out for sale.
Woohoo!
That'll be amazing. Congratulations on your book, Nathan.
We're not quite there yet. Like I say, it's sat on the bar. Congratulate me when you've got your lips around that giant pint glass, supping down your Guinness. For now, it's just settling. But you can almost
There'll be no
taste it.
congratulations till I can buy a copy, either on eBay, and then really no congratulations until I get a paperback in my hand and eventually a hardcover. So you got a lot of work ahead of you. Get busy.
Yeah, there is a fair bit of work in front of me. But this isn't a race. You know what I mean? I've been poor. People have been very, very supportive via PayPal. And it's all been funneled to my wife to the point where I've completely run out of money. But if it wasn't for me doing that, I don't think she'd have had the motivation she has. I'm not saying that she's only financially orientated, but you know, she does plenty of overtime for her current employer because they pay her for it. So I've essentially stolen that incentivization, and the only way I've been able to do that is because of the people who've supported me financially via PayPal. So I am incredibly grateful. If you've given me any money via PayPal in the last 6 months, it's all gone towards my wife's endeavours to help me edit this book. So I'm extremely grateful. Yeah, it's nearly done. Very exciting.
I like that short you released. I think you just mirrored it of the "you exist out here because of me" thing.
Yeah.
Pesci. I've seen that a little bit earlier. It's kind of hard not to laugh. I mean, really, as far as the entire topic goes, you kind of get a feeling like that when you're on the roof in your towel. You know, you kind of start looking back.
Unfortunately, it gets buried alive in the desert. But anyway, that part is good.
Which character gets buried alive in the desert? The Robert De Niro or the Joe Pesci character? It's Joe Pesci, isn't it? Yeah, he gets hit with baseball bats.
Too.
Him and his brother,
Him and
right?
his brother, half dead, still alive, buried.
Frankie is still alive. He's still breathing.
Yes, Casino, right?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Today's show number, just making a thumbnail with the Artemis rocket on it. 2518, is that correct? 2518 live.
Yes.
Jolly good, jolly good.
Is Artemis the rocket that the anti-flat earthers are going to fire up to do something?
It's already gone up. It's gone up and around the moon, allegedly.
Artemis 2 has already been launched, John.
I would love to see the calculations for that launch.
That's the first thing I covered when I saw a clip on Shorts. I was like, top right hand corner, it's giving the height in miles. You're like, that's off sea level. It's right there.
So unless they're showing you anything other than a flat plane from that rocket, it's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, it's just pandering to the congregation.
Yeah, because you said you got a height, right? They tell you the height they went off sea level. That's what the trajectory is, right?
Yep.
So to get that height, Earth must be flat.
Yeah, to plan the trajectory. There's a reason the telemetry data will never be surfacing for the original moon mission. It's like, you don't have to look very long to see a ballistic trajectory of the rocket and go, hang on a second, this is all calculated off a flat plane.
Interesting, huh?
It's them hidden figures, you know? Gotta keep them figures hidden.
Well, it's the same thing why we were taught freaking geometry and social studies. I mean, in science, right? It should have been taught. And well, no, I actually did learn it in social studies, but there should have been a separate class for geometry. Instead, they buried it in science.
Put it in a category error to confuse people.
Yep. Absolutely. Hijack science and claim geometry within science when it's a false geometry. Then teach the geometry of the flat earth measurements that are required for their pseudoscience taught in science that isn't science. So you know how earth must be measured flat. You learnt it in geography or social studies for you guys at a lower level in whatever school system in the States has. But ultimately, you need to know how the earth actually gets measured. You need to know what horizontal is. You need to know what eye level is. You need to know what parallel and perpendicular mean. But when it comes to the earth being a sphere, you can just take it into Narnia. Take it into La La Land.
Bunch of geography deniers.
Yeah, that's what they are. The heliocentrists are geography deniers. They want to utilize the flat earth measurements. They just don't want them mentioned.
So wait, you're telling me, hold on, because I know I put this together before, but it's hitting me again. When this first became a thing, let's say this flat earth debate, they were calling us science deniers, when in actuality, they were geography deniers.
Yes.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. And calling us science deniers just highlighted their ineptitude when it came to science and the scientific method, because they are in a category error. So not only are we not denying science, their claim that we are is in a category error. It's not science, it's geography, and we're not denying anything. It's measured flat.
Right. So in their claims of us being science deniers, they had no clue what science is in the first place.
Correct. But with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hit me up on PayPal, joined as a Patreon, all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.